Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I'm here with a Mysterious Stranger account and a Juke-R 2.0 that has been fully maxed and has availability of all Stage 6s. What we're going to talk about real quick is the Stage 6 effects of the individual Stage 6 when it applies to this car. This car has biased Stage 6, much like most cars in the game, but for Prestige Cup this season, this could be a real headache for those of you who don't get the right stage sixes. Of course, there is a known car that is very, very slow and can actually be beaten by stage 5 only if you're willing to spend the number of gas pips necessary to hopefully find it. But most of us are facing cars that run somewhere between 11.5 to 11.6s. Okay, so let's first take a look at this car as stage 5 only, as we always do. Stage 5 only, the car is about 638 pp, 1504 evo. That's a great thing because that high evo point and the way this car works in live is that it makes it actually pretty competitive against other cars in the lobby. At that particular setting, assuming we go either this way or this way on the Nitrous, see if I can get a 1505 here. No. Alright, so I'll just leave it at 2.5. I think 2.6 is fine too. 3.7, you can go 3.71, 3.70. The evo points isn't going to change that much. 11.884 dyno, but it's actually very hard to hit this. This car has a difficult shift pattern for a lot of devices that are not super quick and super responsive. What will happen is you're going to have to launch it and then get a very close to near early perfect on the first gear, and that's actually pretty hard, both for people that play like me that isn't that great at shifting, or for someone who has a device that has a little bit of a lag in the beginning, because what will happen is you're going to end up probably not catching either the first or the second shift right on that early perfect line that you should be getting in order to get a good time. Even if you shift it pretty well and you launched it pretty well, your likely result will be more something like this, a 11.9. Now, I've heard of people getting as low as 11.84 with the right devices and perfect shift pattern. You can look those videos up and maybe see how they did it. But as far as I'm concerned, low 11.9 is what I'm looking at with stage 5. That's not to say that you can't get better, but let's just say we use the dyno 11.887 or 886 as a baseline for performance. So let's start looking at the stage 6 effects. One of the first stage 6s I always go to would be engine. Again, following the order that you normally get when you go to your storage to look at what stage 6s you have. Now, both a jump in performance point and a jump in evo. This stage 6 actually turns out to, I think, be the best stage 6 for this car. I happen to have it on my other account, and I was able to get through the entire Prestige Cup with just this one stage 6. And that is because with a little bit of tuning tweaks, if you get it just right, you're looking at a 11.49 dyno. Even if you just run it close to dyno, you're pretty much going to be running faster than whatever the PC Cup will normally throw at you. Most likely, the fastest in the PC Cup cars will be something like a 11.512 or 5.2, I should say, 5.1 to 5.2, with most of them falling somewhere between 5.4 to 5.6 range is what I've seen for the most part. Doesn't mean you'll get it as far as driving it. Again, getting the shifts perfect would be tough, but even if you run a little over 11.5, generally speaking, this is enough to squeeze you through as far as getting through the PC Cup. And that's only for race 30. You can actually get to race 28 without any, or 29 actually, I should say, without any problems, without any stage 6. So for that, that's the good news, is that it's not hard to get to race 29. It only gets interesting at race 30, and that's where you may end up being stuck for a while. And that's assuming you have full fusions too, because again, fusions make up to a 2-second difference in performance. So if you're missing a lot of fusions, your cars can be a lot slower. All right. So engine put us at a 11.49 dyno. In this case, we're going to go off a dyno rather than the actual runs because in some cases the car would beat dyno easily, and you want to look at the actual runs. But in this case, it's the reverse. It's hard to beat dyno unless you're really good at shifting. So we'll just use the dyno as the actual comparison for the purpose of the effects itself. So this one looks like it gave the same performance point, but as you can see, Evo barely moved, and that's never a good sign. So let's see. I'm pretty positive turbo is one of the ones that give very little, if any, impact to the car performance. And we can put it back up towards 7.0 to see if that'll give us one of the higher. And there it is, 11.815. Now that is a drop from the 11.88, but that is marginal at best. Okay, so it's not very much. I'm not going to run these because they're not really that much of a difference, and with bad shifting you may not even see any difference in actual runs. So turbo definitely not very strong. Let's move on to intake and see if intake will outperform it. That's not looking like it's very good. That does increase, so there's a chance intake will beat turbo here. Let's take a look. Again, need to fine tune it. Let's see if I can get a few more points out of this one way or the other. No, kind of stuck on that 2.4 being the best right now. Right, and this isn't making that much of a difference. That may make a difference in actual runs. However, it does outperform turbo by a little bit, dropping from 11.88 down to 11.795. Not quite a tenth, but a little bit better than turbo. So, okay, so intake definitely better than turbo. Let's move on from intake to look at nitrous. Now, nitrous, as you can see, has a decent jump in performance point and a little bit of Evo change from intake. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that strong though. So let's take a look at the numbers. Now with nitrous, you obviously have to retune. That's a given. And the real question is, how much more can we get Evo wise beyond that 1534? It looks like 1534. Tire, you're really not going to mess with because even if you do, it doesn't really help you Evo wise. So most of the tuning focus will be on final drive. 11.571. Okay, so 11.49 by engine by itself, 11.571. You may be able to find one or two slower opponents than this in the PC Cup, but probably not. Most of them are faster, but it doesn't mean that you can't utilize the good old leaving and trying again technique to see if you can find someone that is slower than 11.57. But understand, you're more likely to run something like a 11.59, not a 11.57. So that's going to be tough to beat PC Cup. And like with nitrous, body also does a little bit of change in the favorable direction, and certainly it's a decent stage 6, but it also has the issue of that it's not really getting much over 1500 and change as far as Evo goes. And the higher Evo, obviously, the greater the chance the car will be faster. And here, 11.598. This is definitely slower than even nitrous, and that'll push you into the 11.6 range possibly when you're running it. So neither nitrous or body by itself looks like it's going to do a whole lot to push you beyond the requirements for race 30. So most likely for those two stage 6s by itself, unless you're a master shifter and you got the slow guy, I believe there is a Tuatara that can run something like 11.91 out there, but unless you get that kind of good luck, you're going to be struggling with race 30 on the PC Cup for the entirety of it. So you're going to need two stage 6s at least. Okay, so now we're moving to the last two. Now, knowing body and Nitrous were pretty decent, it kind of makes me doubt that tire and trans is going to outperform them. They're just not that much available decrease in time overall for more than 2 or 3 stage 6s being strong. When 3 are very strong, the others are going to be very weak, and it looks like that is the case here for tire. Let me see if I can get more out of it than the number I got there. Now, look like 1515. 1515 might be the best I'm going to get out of it, unless, you know, there's some more. Oh, 1516. Okay, we'll take that. So 11.743 is better than intake, but certainly nowhere near body, nitrous, or engine. So this is of some effect, but not very strong. And that therefore, this is not a very influential stage 6 when it comes to dropping time. And that leaves us with the final one, and that is transmission. So let's take a look at that. Now, transmission's interesting in that when you put it in, that goes up quite a bit. But watch here. That goes down quite a bit. That's never a good sign. The extra performance point jump will mean some drop in time, but all that negative movement with the Evo definitely will hurt us. So the question is, can I get much more out of it point-wise? If it's not jumping one way or the other, the short answer will be probably not. Okay, there might be 1 point or 2 difference somewhere here if I play with the nitrous enough. Maybe if to squeeze another. Yeah, it looked like I squeezed another point out of it. And that still only gives you 11.857. Ooh, that's bad. Remember, stage 5 only is 11.88. This is 11.85. This is terrible. In fact, I think this is worse than turbo. Only way to find out, of course, is to go back and look at turbo real quick. But I'm pretty sure turbo was like a 11.82. So turbo would be transmission. That makes transmission the absolute worst stage 6 out of the group. That's really bad. And it is not unexpected, but given all that jump and all that negative, that's not really a great thing. So one quick look at turbo just to make sure that turbo is in fact better than transmission. And then we have our final order here as far as stage 6 effects. Okay, let's just do a quick yeah, it already beats it. So what this ends up being is you have the order of essentially body being engine being the best, nitrous following, body following that, and then you're going right down to tire, and then intake, turbo, transmission. So it gets pretty bad with the bottom 4. Now let's take a look at the bottom 4, right? Knowing what we know about PC Cup, this tells me that the bottom 4, even with full fusion, can be a tough one to use to beat the PC Cup's last race. Up to race 29, things get really easy. I mean, my race 29 was like a 12.4, so that's a stage 5 only run. But by the time you get to race 30, these 4 will get you a 11.5 and change, and it's kind of a 11.5 on the high end. Plus, it's hard to drive under dyno, so you're looking at a car that's going to struggle to get you through unless you get a guy that runs slower than that. Okay, by quite a bit. You might need somebody who runs 11.62. And I think most opponents in the race 30 run somewhere in the high to low, mid-range high, mid-range low of 11.5. Obviously there's some outlier cars that if you get them, you'll win. But again, 4 stage 6s, full fusion, you're going to be struggling. Versus, let's go and put in the 2 stage 6s that didn't quite make it by itself, but in combination, these 2 guys should put you at a very comfortable position to easily get through race 30, and they should be somewhere in the 11.3 range combined, I would assume. Okay, and there it is. Yeah, and I didn't even tune it yet, so it might be 11.2s. So just these 2 stronger ones make a big difference. Then you have other combinations where you have one strong, one weak, and that's going to really kind of depend. I think any one of these other than engine, combined only with transmission, is still going to be a big struggle, versus if you had engine, it would be no struggle no matter what other stage 6 you have. But if you have at least either nitrous or body and then something other than transmission, your chances are still okay to go ahead and get through the whole thing. Now, finally, fully maxed, obviously, we're looking at a much more substantially fast time, and that is going to put you, I think, in the mid 10s as far as performance. But you know, unless this car becomes some kind of showdown car down the line, being fully maxed or not really doesn't make that much of a difference for it. And even if I tune it, and I'm going to try to tune it a little bit here, I'm not trying to get fancy here, just get to a theoretical highest evo point, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Approximately highest. I don't even have to go for the highest. So 10.6, 10.5. Okay, let's just say 10.5 something is what you're going to end up with this car fully maxed. Now, knowing what we know about matchmaking and knowing what I know about what happened when I put transmission stage 6 in, one of the possible ways to give yourself a little leverage in the live lobby is maybe not run transmission, because you'll get this benefit. High evo, low performance point. Yes, your car will be slightly slower than fully maxed, but it'll probably lobby just as well, if not better, than a fully maxed car. And that 10.67 to 10.63, as far as the lobby point goes, they're still pretty close to each other, but I can actually get almost the same. The only difference here is that I'll have higher performance point, higher evo, lower performance point, and possibly have a slightly more favorable live lobby setting. Already this car's got a favorable live lobby anyway, so I'm not sure this little bit is really going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of it. But if I had all stage 6s, and maybe if I was just tuning to lobby, I may slow it down a little further, put it in, say, the 10.8 lobby or 10.7 lobby, but without being fully installed with all stage 6, will push this down a little bit and hopefully give me a little bit better chance against other cars. Now here I'm racing another Juke-R, so I don't know. This is probably going to be a toss-up, and this one might be fully maxed, considering we could end up in the same lobby. But let's see what happens. Okay, so again, you still got to get that launch. You still got to get through the mile per hour. Looks like I'm ahead here. 11.61 on my, well, on the end there. It's still going to be 11.65 run, but slightly under dyno versus a, what am I saying? I'm like totally losing it. A 10.6 run, not 11.6, 10.6 run against his 10.8 run, and we're in the same lobby. So that tells you kind of where everything's at. Now, it could be he had a bad launch and he's actually a 10.6 car, or I'm actually in 10.8 lobby and his car's not even close to fully max. But again, dropping that and keeping that up is usually the best way to keep your car running relatively favorably in live. All right, let's take one more opponent and then we're going to call it with this video. Essentially, you can see that stage 6 effects come in that order that we discussed earlier, with engine definitely doing the most when it comes to adding evo points, and transmission working almost against you by not only not adding but actually reducing evo points. And again, I'm doing okay here. I'm going to beat that car. This one's a lot closer though. That car was probably right on my tail, and I don't think I drove as well either. So I did a 10.7 on my 10.6 because I launched a little early. 10.7, okay, it's a win. That is not as high as it could be, but then again, I don't have crew bonus or anything with this account. This is only used for videos, so that is why that's lower. You actually get about 1200 plus RP point per race without any wildcard or anything if you have your basic crew bonus in addition to any other bonuses. Okay, I only have 20% because I have no crew bonus. All right. So overall, this car is not bad. It's it's actually pretty good in live without having to break dyno. It's hard to drive under dyno, but it's not hard to drive overall. It's a little tricky, but not super hard. And for Prestige Cup purposes, as you can see, one Stage 6 engine will take care of it. Stage 6 nitrous and body with another Stage 6 will generally take care of it. Unless you're stuck with 3 Stage 6 transes, in which case, I'm sorry, you might be screwed. Okay? Okay, any questions, ask me in the comments. If you like the video, please leave a like. Feel free to, share the video with your friends so that if they're struggling with Prestige Cup, they want to know what's going on. It probably is the Stage 6 that they have or the Stage 6s that they have that's hurting them because, again, they're pretty biased. All right, if you like my channel and would like notifications when I put up new videos, then please subscribe so you can get those notifications. As always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.